At long last, the Fairness First Party, first video for, yeah. So the idea is to create a political movement of sorts, whatever, to state some axioms, some premises, a platform that has better ambitions than the political parties, in the sense that instead of dictating an agenda, the idea is to dictate that there be a fair debate, a fair contest to decide agenda. It's inevitable that you have to have some statements, of fact, problems that exist in the world that need to be fixed, and I guess I'll get to stating a couple of the biggest ones there. The biggest obstacles to a nice, fair fight for the mind of mankind and for the construction of our civilization. How it should, what we should invest in, how we should invest in it, by what means we get to a better place. Define the better place first, and then draw the map. The first thing, the primary thing, is to have a fair election, to have a fair process of voting. Some of that is you can't help in the current systems. Money matters. The rich do get to influence in lots of subtle ways, invest in talking heads and media organizations that say what they want to hear. They want people to hear more aggressively. So it's hard to separate these two subjects. The one has to do with the grotesque unfairness of the idea of legacy wealth, of people who didn't do anything to earn it, controlling the media and basically all of our social infrastructure, in a sense, deciding what we as a society invest in and what propaganda is spewed into the minds of people. And all of that shouldn't be decided by the people who've never earned it. I don't think there's any real concept of earning when it comes to stuff like billions of dollars anyway, but let's say you said, okay, somebody legitimately came up with something, $1 billion idea, that they're actually worth $1 billion. Certainly their kids aren't. We all rationally can understand that we don't have any system in our society, there's absolutely no aspect of our society where we think it's a good idea to allow people to inherit it. We don't let people inherit Grand Slam titles or Olympic gold medals or participation in Major League Baseball or anything really. You can't find a single thing where we say, yes, inheritance works. Being a newscaster even, anything, any job you can imagine. We don't think anybody should inherit that job, inherit that position. So in no part of our society do we think something like that is fair or sensible. And yet the biggest part of our social infrastructure, the biggest part of our culture, the biggest part of being alive, the economic system, we allow it to be controlled by a tiny percentage of people. Huge amounts of resources in the hands of the tiniest of percentages of the human race. And most of it, 99% of it, in the hands of people who didn't earn it, or didn't earn the huge amount of money they built into a bigger amount of money. It's a huge cheat in the game. It's completely uncompetitive. It's anti-capitalism. It's a welfare, nothing more, and monarchy. It's a really bad idea. To allow people to inherit fortunes. Yes, inherit a couple $1 million, no big deal. Can't do much damage with that, but anything more than that is idiotic, socially destructive, unfair, stupid, retarded, moronic, and we should abolish it. It's totally destructive, not only to capitalism and the checks and balances. The invisible hand really can't work in an inheritance system. Monarchy breaks the invisible hand, and inheritance is essentially monarchy. So yeah, capitalism isn't so offensive if everybody has to earn it. If you have to work your way up, you have to deserve what you get. Then any excesses will get eaten up by time. There's no liability to the creation of fortunes because they won't last. So a despot will die. You won't have a son to take his place. You end the dictatorships. You end the monarchies. You end the monopolies. You destroy the corrosive menace. So yes, that's the goal. No reason not to vote for, to advocate for a system where earning matters, where we reward people for doing good things, not things like falling out of vaginas. It's just silly. And I use sports as an analogy, but I don't have any respect for that. I mean, that's just a human nonsense. We should be rewarding people for doing something better than throwing bricks high. Whoever can throw a brick the highest is a stupid thing to reward people for. We should reward them for their industry, for their invention, for doing exceptional at work, for innovating and being smart, reading books, figuring out how to do things right. Shouldn't be rewarding people for stupid, fucking idiotic nonsense. I can kick your teeth out faster than you can kick mine out. We pay people for that. Well, you do. Fucking idiots. So yes, the party would basically say there's fucking idiots on Earth, and they're our menace, and they need to be insulted and shamed and humiliated wherever possible, because yes, they're a menace to our civilization. So anyway, the first thing you sort of have to fix is the economics. It's the biggest game, and everything runs based on the priorities of that system. And the system as it is prioritized to making rich people richer, and it's not prioritized towards giving us all a chance to live a meaningful and useful life. And it's just stupid. It's profoundly stupid that we're selling our welfare to an idiotic notion that this stupid inheritance class has any fucking value whatsoever. If they all drop dead tomorrow, I can guarantee you society would be better off, a lot better off. It all would run just fine. We don't need the owners. Ugh, it's pathetic. Anyway, so I mean that's it's discouraging even to talk about it, because you say, well, this is how far we are. This is how bad things are. So I have to make a pleading argument not to allow grotesque cheating in the biggest game in the world. I don't have to do that for soccer. As soon as somebody sees something happen on the soccer field that looks like cheating, like kicking somebody in the nuts, they all say, whoa, that's bad sport. Oh, we have to do something about that. We can't allow that to continue. But they'll allow this huge cheat. It's idiotic. You're idiots. Yeah. It's game over. You're too stupid to have a civilization. Alright, so anyway, let's just continue. Let's presume that somehow somebody could say something to you idiots and you'd figure out, oh yeah, he's right, that doesn't make much sense. It does seem kind of duplicitous that the only game where we allow cheating is the biggest game in town. It does sound kind of retarded. We can figure out it's cheating when some poor guy's shoplifting, but we can't figure it out when we're rewarding people for falling out of vaginas and applauding and bowing to them and saying screw me. Alright, so anyway, that's just it's problem number one, really. But right next to it is the fact that we don't really have a democracy. We don't have anything called representative democracy, a fair contest for the polling of human social sentiment, opinion. It's just a racket, a two-party system of compromise, of disgusting, grotesque compromises, where yes, you're given the choice of a shit burger and a cunt sandwich and a booger shake, and all the food choices absolutely suck. They're all compromised political hacks. They trivial, cliche government change. They're going to do something for us. They're not going to do anything for us but screw us. All a bunch of liars and cheaters and thieves. Because yes, the lowest common denominator is impressed. So we need a system that allows us to vote outside of a stupid, moronic, general moron party system, where we can actually vote for an intellectual and have him win. And so the key to the whole thing is this geographic-based, all-or-nothing elections that just guarantee that the same low-class moron, the same common denominator retard gets to win every election, and all the smart people lose. It's a guarantee. It's the way this system is built, that there won't be any smart people representing the human race. There won't be any people of real character, because that's only 1 in 100. And they're spread out over the whole country. There's no one state that has all the people with dignity and character and some sort of will to be honest. And if there were, then they'd have representation, but they're not. They're spread out all over the country, so their vote is diluted into meaninglessness by all the inane fucking NASCAR, rubber-fingered, donut-eating, bacon-chewing motherfucking cunt morons. So, to have a fair fight, you have to have fair people in the fight. You have to have a fair representation. And we just can't have that with a geographically based system of all or nothing. Where you're, in my case, I live in a district that's 93% of one party affiliation, and therefore I'll never have a representative my entire life. I will just be fucked. No, I will always have some person I consider to be no better than Adolf Hitler saying he's my representative. And that's just bullshit. That shouldn't happen in America. It's supposed to mean more than that. Democracy is supposed to actually mean something. Representation is supposed to mean something. So you can fix it numerous ways. The easiest way to fix it is just to get rid of the geographic bullshit and allow people to vote, especially in national elections, freely, outside of their ownership or possession by some state idiot. And so allow people to vote for national representatives. So congressmen would have to get a certain number of votes to be elected, and they can get the votes from anybody in any state. And and an even simpler way to fix it is just to get rid of this stupid all or nothing crap and just say you have to get 1 million votes. If you don't get 1 million votes, you don't get into office. And by using instant runoff voting and a little bit of computer work, it's real easy to fix. And I've explained this in other places. I suppose I can post a link to channels that deal with the specifics. But yeah, it's a fail-safe system. You just give people ranked voting and allow them to vote outside of their personal geographic district. Not my geography. My geography is a tiny percentage of who I am and what I believe. It's idiotic, and it certainly has nothing to do with my national politics. And it just creates a bunch of this stupid pork crap, a bunch of this pointless competition between states, which is idiotic and wasteful. It's an obscenity. Our democracy sucks. I can get into the specifics of this, stupid things we have, like the stupid electoral college that just basically guarantees it's a sham election, and now we've had it twice where it's happened. The person who got the most votes loses. That makes sense to you people. That's the way it should be. No, it doesn't make sense to me. We have a Senate where the people in California have 1/30 their opinion. An individual in California's opinion is 1/30 as respected as a person in Alaska. 1/30. Go find something. Find 30 of something and figure out how it should take 30 Californians to make one Alaskan. That's fair representation in government? No, it's garbage. It's nonsense. So yeah, that stuff needs to be weeded out of our democracy. This whole kind of weaselly state bullshit needs to be gotten rid of. Let's just become maybe regional. Allow all the red states, all the little whatever Bible belters join a little club, and they can be a percentage, and then they can still have their little clique and their little idea of a little bit more government representation. But again, it's all just a cheat. The little states want to cheat, and the people in the little states have an ideology, and they want to cheat. They want victory by cheating. They want to say, no, it's not one man, one vote. I'm more important. I should tell you how you're going to live, because I'm special, because I live in a shitty state that no one else wants to live in. That's the logic of it. It's crap. It's not logic. It's nonsense. Skin. Lips. Yeah. I'll blame it on something. It's not, I'm not dead yet. But anyway, just parts of me. Anyway, so you instant runoff voting, you start to get away from this idea of winner take all and get to the idea of representation. Win or earn it, and get rid of this idea that we are our geography, because I'm not my geography. I really just couldn't give a shit about my geography. And the only time that should matter is in your local elections, not when you're deciding the fate of the United States of America. You shouldn't be stuck voting for some local hack, when there's some better figure somewhere else to vote for, to trust with your representation. Again, the whole idea of some asshole saying he represents 600,000 people when 300,000 of those people voted against him is obnoxious to the idea of representation and democracy. It's an obscenity to it. There's half the people are not represented in Congress. Half. Something like, anyway. A huge percentage. And it guarantees that any minority opinions won't be heard. Because any minority that's not segregated, that is living in a slum, like, at least blacks get more representation they would get if there was a fair fight, and that's probably good, but that's something worth sacrificing to get free of the other liabilities, which are, having the same election everywhere and letting the same majority dictate the rules. Segregated minorities are out of luck, and they don't have their fair 1 or 2 or 3 representatives that they should have, and that just allows the majority to run over their rights. There probably never would have been this idiotic attack on cigarette smokers, if we had a fair democracy, because then they would have had to at least fight the representatives that were voted in there by the cigarette smokers to protect their rights. But you could just run over everybody's rights in this system. And the fact that we have a Supreme Court, a court system that's basically just a sycophant to the politics. You don't get on the court if you don't do some political party a favor, or your wife doesn't work for them, or do something. It's all patronage. It's all they're all sellouts to the system. They're not oversighters. They're not looking for to find the flaws and fix them. They're part of it, the corruption. They give the Congress immunity. The Congress gives them immunity. This isn't oversight. This isn't checks and balances. It's the same hacks, the same ignorant, stupid, lying pieces of crap that get to run the show. And unfortunately, you freely vote for this shit, this garbage. And anytime somebody argues to fix something, you seem to sit there and just nitpick and naysay your way out of any kind of change, because I guess a lot of you are invested in the cheats. You like your little labor union perks and the other bullshit that's protected by the fact that a party has to be owned by you. Because your union can control a few million votes, you get to control the party. It's a disgusting sellout system, and needs to change, needs to be fixed. And it's not going to be fixed if people aren't willing to raise their hand and say, yes, I want it fixed. And it's really not that hard. There's simple solutions to all of the big problems on this planet. It really isn't impossible. We can have much, 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 much better lives, doing much better things. And it just takes a few simple changes in the game. Simple, little simple rules. And the fact that you can't see how you love rules when something something of yours is at stake. You want rules against drunk driving when your kids are on the street. You know, but when you're taking advantage, yeah, all of a sudden rules are, no, I don't want to hear about rules. I don't want to hear about fairness because I've got an advantage in this unfair cheat system. You know, that's just disgusting. So, yeah, it's probably enough for a first video. So those are the two major platform positions: are fix the democracy so we can have a fair argument in government, in the Senate, and in the House of Representatives. It needs to look like America. That means right-wing lunatics. That means left-wing lunatics. It means everybody, every argument's included. You know, instead of this cheat system where they're all my good friend from, you know, when they're all rubbing each other's heinies, you know, all looking for the money. You need real people, real honest people in government who aren't going to be sellouts, aren't going to sit there and sell out for the privilege and the prestige. You know they have a job to do and an obligation to the people. They're servants, not goddamn owners. And you know, you need people who are willing to pass laws saying they get executed if they're found stealing money from the government. Executed. They get gutted in the fucking right in front of the Jefferson Memorial. You slit their fucking goddamn chest open and let their guts spill out if they're a goddamn thief, a fucking liar. You need people of integrity to show up and say, yeah, that's what I want the rules to be, because that's not what I am. I'm not a cheat. I'm not a crook. I'm not a fucking liar. So what do I got to worry about? I ain't going to end up gutted because I'm not going to end up breaking the fucking law. You need people with a little bit of fucking integrity. You keep voting for lying scum because they're going to fucking put a buck in your pocket. You know, because they're going to get facilitate accomplishing some stupid little fucking evil that you have in your brain. It'll give you an advantage. Ugh, disgusting people. So anyway, that'll be one of the axioms. People basically suck. And you need a system that pulls as much of the suck out of them as possible when once a year they have to go to the voting booth and do something responsible. Yeah. Don't fucking suck day. Yeah. Vote smart, not selfish. So anyway. Yeah, that's enough. I have a stiff neck. So that must mean it's enough. So anyway, first video. But you just can't wait for the next one. Yeah. I should just call it the fuck you party, but fairness first does sound a little more palatable.